As doctors confirm frightening cancer development, Mark Consuelos rushes to the intensive care unit and is hospitalized. Down she goes, Kelly Ripa. This was an example of morning that led you astray. A delicate aroma of freshly baked bread wafted around the city while the sky remained flawless. Mark made coffee in his customary tedious fashion, the same way he would taunt Kelly about, as if the ritual could trick the sickness into ignoring him. The two of them wasted time chatting about insignificant topics like a guest who had forgotten their cue, the dog's odd obsession with shoes, and a line from a horrible sitcom. The insignificant events of the morning felt like a thin layer of protection on top of something they hadn't yet realized was going to crack. Midway through the day, Mark received a call from a clinic asking him to come back for more testing. The written language is objective and somewhat formal. When they talk, they make a noise like teeth. Schedules, scripts, and logistics were on his mind when he returned. Something of an unexpected urgency threw him for a loop, and he was unprepared. The late-night diagnosis had been simmering since the wee hours of the morning. Fear dictated the routine of whoever was working. Unexpected visitors turned out to be portals to even more perplexing ambiguity. It was as if the world went black around them when the oncologist, seated in a room painted in uncaring beige, spoke a term that seemed like cold, aggressive progression. Death wasn't Mark's first thought. Here was the list of everything he had promised to accomplish. Bring yourself to the school play, write the script, and show up to Lola's college interview. Strangely, his second idea was to locate a pen. He intended to write down the diagnosis, as if putting pen to paper could solidify the day's form into something comprehensible. Tension building in Kelly's jaw as she watched him. For years, she had honed her public speaking skills, perfected the art of timing her jokes, and learned to turn a disaster into an interview. Fear lurks behind a doctor's measured voice, and no amount of experience can protect you from it. A tango of medical precision intertwined with individual horror ensued. Because the tests had shown issues too serious to wait, the doctors, who were efficient and calm, suggested immediate hospitalization. The doctor's expression betrayed 1,000 times over the necessity to keep a tight eye on him. His voice exuded the clinical resolution of someone who had mastered the delicate balance between hope and reality, without any hint of theatrics. The taxi that took them to the hospital seemed inadequate for the massive load it carried. Mark felt a lifeline in Kelly's firm grasp of his hand. Human frailty was on full display in the waiting room. Worried individuals clutching hands and frantically searching through their phones as if they could summon solutions with a mere command. Not long after that, the kids showed up. The three of them, Walken, Michael, and Lola, showing various expressions of the same insurmountable grief. Ween tried to break the awkward silence with quips that seemed like a desperate attempt at lightheartedness, his trademark sarcasm now fragile at the edges. In his notebook, Michael began to draw circles. It was his way of figuring things out. In arranging call lists, Lola sounded like a little general deciding to fight panic, despite being the youngest. It was a precautionary measure, not a condemnation, to admit Mark to the intensive care unit. The experts clarified that the tumor had progressed to the point where it posed a threat of acute organ involvement. Plus, if he ever needed help, quick interventions would be possible because of the careful monitoring. The chief physician vowed to do all in his power, and the phrase resounded with the weight of a pledge and the scientific measure of progress. In a matter of hours, word spread over social media. A snapshot shows Kelly's exit from the premises. It seems like it was made to break people's hearts. Tears are streaming down feeds. The news was broken quickly and sharply. An frightening update causes Mark Consuelos to run to the intensive care unit and Kelly Ripa to collapse. The news cycle, which usually only covers bits and pieces, consumed them, making the family's private tragedy a public spectacle. The pressure of public scrutiny seemed like a real weight to Kelly. She was naturally gifted at performing, but doing it in the midst of a crisis is a whole different ballgame. A publicist had crafted a single statement that she let respond to an overwhelming number of nosy inquiries. The family wanted privacy while Mark was hospitalized, and the news was conveyed in simple and polite ways. However, demands for privacy in this age of ubiquitous cameras and heated debates are often met with indifference. Everything was set up: cameras, reporters, and commentary loops. Photographs and captions of Kelly crying became a byword for a narrative her family did not want to share. The lighting in the intensive care unit seemed cold and clinical. Like backup hearts, the monitors hummed. Mark lay under the covers, his usual expression softened by pain and exhaustion. Kelly strolled around his bed, reading strange phrases aloud and occasionally speaking to break the silence. A plan. Don't forget that time you brought up your desire to go to a cottage with bad Wi-Fi, she whispered softly one morning. On the other hand, Mark smiled and said, only if it includes coffee service. This was one of his moments of clarity. Laughter was their modest but striking gesture of rebellion at that moment. The doctors persisted in their tasks with an unusual closeness. They went over interventions, emergency procedures, and the balance between risks and benefits. Being ready and attentive is key when admitted to the intensive care unit. Kelly was surprised and grateful for the tenderness with which one nurse delivered the news. Medical terms have real-world applications. Having it isn't necessarily a source of solace. The positive aspect is that it establishes limits and choices that families may use to protect themselves. Like seasoned players in a marathon play, the kids nailed their parts. Logistics were taken care of by Weekend, who made sure that the residents had someone to water the plants and receive the mail. Michael took on a more reclusive persona. He sat by Mark's side while he read aloud from scripts, as if the rhythm of their shared history could return just by repeating lines. Lola made an effort to grin appropriately, brought small presents, and a ridiculous hat. A comedic book that appeared to possess the magical power to conjure up a fleeting form of normalcy. The public's perception of Kelly, however, was stuck in an endless loop. The production crew of the morning shows offered to change the coverage. Time and empathy were supplied by colleagues. Outside the hospital, fans left bouquets. In the midst of all the well wishes, there were also many unsolicited remedies, emails from complete strangers offering miraculous diet plans, herbs, and treatments that have never been tested. The difference between compassion and harm was quickly grasped by Kelly. She graciously declined the remainder with a firmness that seemed like armor, but she received the recipes and flowers. Savage parts of the media coverage preyed on the family's frailty, creating drama where it didn't exist. A headline screamed, "Alarming cancer progression," while subheadings filled with speculation and comment sections with whispers. After reading them, Kelly felt nauseous. A peculiar solace and a kind of cruelty, she understood, lay in the world's ability for rapid rumor. Everyone in the family had to keep saying the same thing. After the first request for privacy, there will be no more remarks. Both small victories and terrifying defeats occurred. As soon as Mark's vitals spiked that night, the staff would work to stabilize him. Scan results 1 week later may suggest some kind of partial response. Hope in the intensive care unit is often very nebulous. A good test result, a blood count that stays put, and an appetite that comes back for one afternoon. They discover that those moments are priceless and begin to hoard them. On a certain night, Kelly passed out. Melodrama or exposure wouldn't have been the goals. She was really worn out from lugging about all those terrible things. Her peripheral vision began to haze and the chair underneath her felt suddenly too cramped as she responded to emails in the hospital cafeteria. The family's nurse, who had developed feelings for them, after catching Kelly, a generous mother with 3 children and an apron adorned with flowers, took her to a peaceful room. Kelly sat with her while she gave her fluids and waited for her breathing to slow down due to the raggedness it had worn. Kelly Ripa collapsed after alarming update became yet another headline after Kelly's breakdown. A combination of outrage and grief was expressed by the family. The narrative power of the word collapse was strong and left little opportunity for subtlety, but Kelly had experienced a private breakdown prior to the photographers taking her picture. There had been a series of smaller sieges. In a heartbreaking turn of events, beloved actor Mark Consuelos is facing a serious health crisis that has left fans and loved ones shaken. The news of his rapid decline in health has taken everyone by surprise, leaving his wife, Kelly Ripa, utterly devastated. Known for their strong bond both on screen and off, Kelly has been vocal about her love and support for Mark throughout his career. But this new chapter in their lives has been filled with overwhelming emotions. Reports confirm that Mark has been battling a serious illness, with sources indicating that the actor's health has deteriorated at an alarming rate. While the exact nature of his condition has not been publicly disclosed, rumors suggest it may be related to cancer, a disease that has touched the lives of many in recent years. The couple's fans have flooded social media with messages of support, sending prayers and well wishes for Mark's recovery. Kelly, who has been standing by her husband's side, was seen visibly shaken during a recent broadcast, breaking down in tears as she spoke about the ordeal. Their deep connection has always been a beacon of strength for their followers, and seeing Kelly in such a vulnerable state has left fans mourning alongside her. As the situation continues to unfold, fans around the world are hoping for a miracle for Mark. The love and dedication shown by Kelly to Mark throughout this difficult time only emphasizes the profound bond they share. This tragic update has left a cloud of sadness over the couple's journey, but their strength and resilience offer hope during this trying time. Our thoughts and prayers go out to Mark Consuelos and Kelly Ripa.